Hi everyone, hope all of you are doing very well. So I'm back with another video, this time on installing Google Tag Manager on Shopify. But this is going to be through a different method called the customer events. All right. So just to give you a brief and quick overview, um, the way we used to install Google Tag Manager was through the checkout.liquid and the liquid.theme section where we used to put the GTM code. But now that is going to change. All right. So from August of 2024, the liquid is actually going to be deprecating. In fact, the deprecation process has started quite a while back. But from August 2024, you're not going to be able to use the liquid section again. And the checkout.liquid, as you can see here, this is from Shopify's official documentation, is going to be deprecated. All right. So they have also given some suggestions as to how you can upgrade to the checkout extensibility. But what I'm going to show you is the more updated method from Shopify, the recommended one, which is to use the customer event section within settings in Shopify's in any store of Shopify. And as you can see here, the information, shipping and payment steps, and as well as the thank you and order status pages, which were connected to the checkout.liquid, that these sections will no longer work. So you will have to use the what is called the customer event section. So the customer event section is actually present within settings, and you can find it here within customer event. So I'm not showing a live Shopify store because of privacy reasons, just to be extra careful. I could have obviously blurred out and all, but I'm just being extra careful. So the customer events will actually look like this. So you will have the option of adding pixels from different sources. So as you can see here, some other sources also exist. You can add any kind of pixels here and do that kind of connection. So TikTok, Facebook, as well as Google Tag Manager, all of these can be connected. So what has been done here is I have gone ahead and created a Google Tag Manager account. So this is the Google Tag Manager account for it. This is the the tracking ID for it, as you can see here, and some things have been set up. I'll just show them one by one. So the idea here is that we actually get that code and use it within another piece of code actually. So we are not going to be just pasting directly the GTM code, but we're going to take the ID and then we're going to put in another piece of code. So I'll just jump now into the store. So this is the store essentially, and this is that customer event section within settings that I just showed in the screenshot. So as you can see here, the code has been placed here already, and what this code really does is it just takes into account the ID, the tracking ID from GTM. And as you can see here, this is the main code part of the GTM tracking code. After that, it goes on to add this section called, which is actually under the analytics.subscribe. And analytics.subscribe is essentially, within the Shopify API. All right. So if I just jump into the web API of Shopify, and you can see here checkout.completed, and if we go to custom pixel, you'll see that there's analytics.subscribe, and how this actually is essentially a function which is going to send the information to Shopify about what particular event data has to be passed on to that specific platform that we're talking about. So in this case, it's Google Tag Manager. So Google Tag Manager is going to be able to recognize the events, and Shopify's custom pixel for the API is going to help us in doing that. All right. So checkout completed will be recognized in this fashion, and if I go to checkout completed here, you can see here this is checkout completed. You could have chosen a number of other events as well. You could have gone for other events related to checkout, as you can see here within standard events in the web API from Shopify. the other checkout events are also listed. So if you want checkout started, checkout viewed, or even other events, not necessarily checkout, but product viewed and product added, all of these can actually be done using this sort of a code. So once this code has been done, you just save it, and then the first part of the job is actually done. All right, so I'll be sharing the code as well, not to worry. So this is the code essentially, and as you can see here, what is this, what it is really doing is essentially pushing into the data layer a certain event, and then you can see that then there is an object which actually consists of the transaction value, the currency, as well as some enhanced measurement data, so customer information data related to the information that which basically captures the information that has been passed on by the customer related to the email, phone number, their address, and so on. So this is obviously for enhanced conversions, as you would know within Google Ads. So what we are doing here is essentially using Google Tag Manager, and we are going to also set up Google Ads conversion tracking using this particular setup. So now I'll jump into Google Tag Manager, and one thing that I will need to say here right at the start is that customer events from Shopify is very peculiar in one way, and that is the fact that it's actually in a sandboxed environment. All right, so sandbox environment means that you cannot, and so there you go, this is what I was talking about. So this is a the pixel axis is sandboxed, meaning that you cannot actually utilize the code, the GTM code, for instance, for all kinds of for everything. There will be certain things that you will not be able to do, and there will be certain restrictions. All right, because sandboxing means that it's in isolation, all right, from the rest of the system. So it's like as if the rest of the store, the rest of the functionalities of the Shopify store are just going to carry on as if this didn't exist. All right, so sandboxing is an isolation mechanism, and this is done when some sort of software or some sort of solution is in beta mode and it's being tested. All right, so that's why one of the implications of this being in sandboxing, the customer event section, is that you cannot actually use the preview and debug mode in GTM, which is kind of very annoying, because GTM really requires the preview and debug mode, right? But you cannot do it. There's going to be a workaround, but I'm going to show you that later. First, let's actually go through the process of setting up the Google Ads conversion tracking using this. Because we have to use GTM for something, right? I mean, GTM has actually been installed, and obviously, even if you cannot use the preview and debug mode, one way is to always open up the site and use the Tag Assistant extension from Chrome, and it's in legacy mode, but it will still work, and you can use the Tag Assistant to ensure that the tag is actually there. All right, so that's one way to see that the tag is there. I mean, rather the container, the GTM container is there, but in order to see that individual tags are working properly, you obviously would have required the preview mode to see what's going on. So all those details you can't use, but we'll see a couple of workarounds for it. But you can still continue using the Tag Assistant, and I will actually show you the outcome after I have done this. I have the setup that we can use still the Tag Assistant to a certain extent in order to verify that our tags are working properly. So now we come to the Google Ads from conversion tracking, and Google Ads conversion tracking obviously starts with the conversion linker. So this has to be in every account, and so you just create your conversion linker first, and then once that has been done, then you go on to create a Google Ads purchase tracking, and this of course can be done using the inbuilt Google Ads conversion tracking template, which is there within Google Tag Manager. And so I'm just going to, I've already set this up. I'm just going to show you, I'm going to give a quick walkthrough step by step of how this has been done. So this is the conversion ID. This is the conversion label. Obviously, grab that when you create a conversion action, right? So I'm not going into those details. You have to do that obviously from within the account. Grab those details and just put those details into the relevant section in Google Tag Manager. All right. So once you have those IDs and details, labels, and then you have a certain variables which you have to use within the conversion value, transaction ID, and the currency code. All right. So where do we get this from? We get this in the variable section. I'm coming to that, and obviously this is where the code that we just placed at the code that we just placed at the Shopify backend, the Shopify store backend is going to come in really handy. I mean, that's what we can basically use in order to create these values. All right. So these data are going to be passed on to Google Ads, as you can understand. All right. When you create a conversion action with these IDs and labels, then they're going to pick up all the important values related to the transactions. And then we have a trigger, right? A trigger is essentially a custom event, and the custom event I'm just going to show you is obviously for all purchase events in this case. So the purchase events have been defined in this way, which is actually how the purchase event has been defined in the code as well, as you can see here. All right, so this is a custom event, and this is the name of the event, and that's what's been used here as a trigger. So now let's go to the variables. How have been the variables defined which have been used? Let's see that. So now we are in the variable section, only a few here, as you can see, and these variables have been used. So in order for the code to work properly, send across the information. So it's essentially the checkout order ID. So the order ID has been defined in this way, and as you can see here, if I just jump back here, the order ID is defined as under the object KM, there is this particular key. All right, and so if I just jump into how JavaScript really works quickly and how you can retrieve or access values in a JavaScript object using dot notation. This is how you do it: object name dot key name. All right. So in our case, so this is from free code camp, by the way. It's an excellent site if you want to learn JavaScript. I definitely recommend that you use free code camp, and you can learn it from a number of places. But yeah, I have always found this to be a great place to really brush up your JavaScript skills and understanding. So yeah, back to where I was. So as you can see here, this is then the object name, and this is the key name, and therefore a km.tid is how we access the checkout order ID. So that becomes our order ID variable. And similarly, we have the revenue variable, which is going to be km.value, because that's how it's been defined here, as you can see. Similarly, for currency, we're going to have km.currency, because that's how currency has been defined as well. All right. So these are the variables that have been passed through in this particular Google Ads purchase tag. All right. What you can see here is that we actually haven't set up the other user related information data. All right. For instance, there you go. There is this section called user provided data. So the data is actually there in the data layer now, right? Because that has been passed through with the code, right? But we haven't. And how do we know it's in the data layer? Because we're doing a data layer push, right? But we aren't using that yet. So I'm going to show that in an upcoming video. But I've just shown you the code that you can easily use within customer event section within Shopify, and then you can actually use that to grab the data and send it through to Google Ads as well to send through enhanced measurement data, right? User provided data. But for now, let's only look at the core aspects of Google Ads tracking, which is revenue tracking and currency and all that. So once this is done, one other thing, like I said already, one restriction is that you cannot use the preview and debug mode in GTM when you're using custom events in Shopify. The other thing, obviously, which is like a corollary of this point, is that you actually have to submit and publish every changes that you're making in order for you to test it. Right? Which is again a little ridiculous, but because it's a sandboxed environment, you have to do this. All right, because if you don't publish it, since you're not doing any preview, the information is just not getting passed through at all, so you won't be able to test it at all live on the website. So this is done actually. You already have set up. You have put the code at the back end in Shopify. That's the first step. The second step is just to do the GTM tracking setup, and then you just do a test purchase. All right, that's the best way. If you're doing a purchase setup, of course, and that's what I'm doing, and the ultimate step, I've obviously left out the intermediate steps, but you should be doing that. Product view, add it to cart, checkout, initiation, every step you should be tracking, and you should check out all of these things using testing on the side, live testing, whichever event that you want to trigger. Do a live trigger of the test. Do a test live a live test trigger of the test of that event, and then you just check it using the tag assistant Chrome extension. All right. So I just jump into it again. This time I'm just going to show you how it actually look like. So I'm again not going to go into the store and do the actual purchases and everything, but I'm going to show you nonetheless how it actually looks like. So this is how it really looks like, and this is essentially the um, screenshots from the thank you page after the order has been completed, and just show you in a second. um, yeah, just zoom in a little bit, and so there you go. So this is the tag assistant legacy Chrome extension that I was talking about, and you can see here that in the thank you page, this is the Google Tag Manager, the same Google Tag Manager that we were just seeing a while back, and how this is actually pushing information into the data layer, and you can see what information is coming into the data layer. All right, so we have the value. So as you can see here, the value of the product, we always have a shipping charge, but we have a value here, and that value is also reflected here, 4.49. These are the details, the customer details that I pushed, that I inputted, but of course that's not what I'm tracking here in this case. And the currency and the customer order ID, all of these things have also been included here. So it's a successful Google Ads purchase tracking setup. And you can also check it through the Google Ads conversion tracking, which is obviously getting triggered from the conversion action within Google Ads. And you can see here that it's also passing through very similar information as well. The essentially you must be looking in this case just at a couple of things, which is really the value and the currency. So they are tracking successfully. You can always push through other information, and that information, as you can see here, is within the data layer in terms of the customer, um, the customer information, the user provided data. So of course, if you were using regular preview and debug mode in Google Tag Manager, you would have been able to see it within the preview section, within the preview tab of Tag Manager, but unfortunately this is how you have to see it. All right. There's another way, and this way I actually owe the idea of this way to the people at Slide Rule Analytics. So they have a very interesting blog, as you can see here, integrating and debugging Google Tag Manager with Shopify's custom pixels. And they have created a very interesting idea. So they also have their own code as well, and they have, obviously the code is very much similar to what already the API has given to us. So you just have to do your own tweaks in order to make it work for you, for your specific case. But what they have given here is a very nice debugging workaround, which is how to actually log the data to the console. All right. So there's something called the browser console. When you go to inspect and you hit inspect, you actually get something called console, among other things. Among other things like the elements and the network tab. So within the console tab, you can actually log some data. All right. So kind of stuff that you were not able to see, because you were not able to use the preview and debug mode. All right, so this is the idea I actually got from them, and this is I've created the log custom HTML tag, taking their example. All right, so you can actually follow this process. So I've actually done this. I've done a custom HTML push, which is going to simply log the data layer. All right, that's all there is to it. And I've triggered it on all pages. You could obviously trigger it only for specific pages, right? So that's pretty much it, really. And if you want to see the how the console thing really works, I can give you a quick example. Just a second. Let me just do this instead. Let's jump into it right here. So you can actually go to the console tab, and then you can click on data layer, and then you can hit enter, and you're actually going to see what's there in the data layer. All right. So this is what I was talking about. All the events that have been loaded up to that point, everything is going to be there for you. All right. But if it's not there for some reason, all right, which is obviously not going to be the case in this situation, but if somehow the data layer is not available for some Shopify sites, it doesn't work. There could be many reasons for that. So you actually have to set up that data layer properly. In that case, you have to log the data layer, and whatever you have pushed separately, it will appear here. All right. So that's it. Actually, that's really what I wanted to show. That's the overall idea for it. If you have any kind of confusions or questions, do let me know in the comments, and I will definitely try to address them. Thank you for your time.